Record-breaking numbers of Cubans are seeking asylum in the U.S. Oscar Casanea arrived in Miami a little over a year ago. He says he was forced to leave Cuba with his wife and son due to his political activism against Cuban government policies. After more than a year under house arrest, state security agents gave him an ultimatum.
You have a month to abandon Cuba, otherwise we are going to put you in jail.
220,000 Cubans fled to the United States last year, many of them settling here in South Florida. Worsening economic conditions on the island were the main drivers for the exodus.
The most discontent the people are on the island is basically about their daily lives. Food, electricity, transportation, housing.
Against that backdrop, many Cuban Americans and recent migrants scoff at any notion that Cuba's legislative elections represent a step toward democracy.
We find it funny when they talk about an election when the candidates have no opposition. They have been handpicked by the party to run unopposed. The issue of the elections of Cuba, for the majority of us here in South Florida, is irrelevant.
Cuban officials blame their country's economic woes on U.S. hostility and its decades-long Cold War-era economic embargo. Casanea says the elections won't alter the basic realities of life in Cuba.
We feel, as Cuban people, this is a kind of a theater play. Nothing is going to change with this election.
As Cuba votes for the first time in the post-Castro era, the mood among Cuban Americans and recent Cuban migrants is skeptical, to say the least. Rob Reynolds, Al Jazeera, Miami.